Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here. I think that recently many of you have come back to Battlefield 2042 after hearing YouTubers and players praise the latest patch, patch 4.0. Some of you haven't. I do see your comments saying that nothing will bring you back and in your eyes the game is dead, and you know, that's fair enough, right? I completely get that. But I think a lot of people are somewhere in the middle. They want to come back to a better game, but they want some new content, and right now there isn't really a whole lot of that. But recently a new Portal game mode has appeared that to me feels the most Battlefield that Battlefield 2042 ever has, and it's called Flashback Conquest. Now most of you who still play the game from time to time will know what this is. It's essentially regular Battlefield 2042 with all the vehicles, weapons and specialists that go with it. However, and this is the important part, you're playing on the Portal maps instead of the Battlefield 2042 maps. So 64 players, good old classic maps like No Shore Canals or Valparaiso that are tried and true and a lot of fun. If you haven't tried Flashback Conquest for yourself, because it was a temporary mode originally and now just last week it got replaced by some, in my opinion, worse game modes like Hardcore TDM and other things like that, well, DICE just announced this. So they say here, today we have an update to share with you about some key changes taking place with Flashback Conquest and Infantry Conquest, two of our most popular featured experiences in Battlefield Portal, all based on your feedback. These two featured experiences are proving popular and we want to continue to deliver experiences you enjoy playing, so as of today we plan to include either Flashback Conquest or Infantry Conquest in each Battlefield Portal rotation update for the foreseeable future. And then they go on here saying, many of you have shared to us that including 1942 maps in Flashback Conquest disrupts the flow of the experience, so this week El Alamein and Battle of the Bulge have been removed from Flashback Conquest. Give it a try and let us know if you think this is a positive or a negative change. Infantry Conquest is all about boots on the ground gameplay. We heard your complaints about the MAV being too disruptive in this featured experience and we agree, so the MAV will not be present in the next rotation. Be sure to tell us how you think this plays. So some really nice changes there. That means players can always rely on Portal for, you know, a good 64 player experience, and hopefully more players will start to queue up there. I don't fully agree with the changes though. I think El Alamein is kind of too big and open where if you're not in a vehicle you just get demolished, so I'm fine with that being taken out of the rotation, but I was honestly fine with Battle of the Bulge. Also, removing the MAV from Infantry Conquest is in my eyes a mistake. I know that Infantry Conquest makes you imagine no vehicles at all, but even for good infantry play, you really need a vehicle simply to get from A to B. If I'm being honest, the MAV is incredibly slow moving, it's a huge target, anyone can equip an M5 launcher or C5 and make quick work of it, easy peasy, so I don't really see what the big deal is, but hey, that's just me. Now, whilst this game mode and these maps really are a breath of fresh air, I think this really highlights just how bad the base Battlefield 2042 maps are in comparison to some of the classics. And you know, in a way, I don't think there's anything wrong with keeping some classic maps in the game. Something that Battlefield has done with like one or two maps, but they haven't brought back a bunch of them too often. You know, just look at CSGO with Dust 2, for example. A classic, and love it or hate it, Counter-Strike wouldn't be Counter-Strike without it. Another map that springs to mind is Nuketown from Call of Duty, pretty much Call of Duty's Operation Metro. That one always seems to make a return. Now that's not to say you shouldn't have new maps either, of course you should, and if the map design is good, well, perhaps a couple of them will make a name for themselves and become big enough worthy of a spot in the next Battlefield game. But I just don't see that happening for any of Battlefield 2042's maps. DICE have acknowledged that the base maps do need a lot of work, and in a recent blog post they did go a little more in depth as to what changes they're planning to make, such as adding cover, reducing distances between flags, and even changing entire objectives. However, I'm not sure they can really turn these maps around and make players love them. I just don't really see in any world the player base going, oh, Hourglass, yeah, that's a fantastic map. I just don't really think it matters what they do. A lot of the underlying problems stem from these maps being designed for 128 players. The player base have spoken. Whenever DICE release a new 64 player mode like Flashback Conquest, Rush, whatever it is, players seem to flock to that mode and enjoy it so much it often comes back by popular demand. Even the All Out Warfare mode has 64 player variants that do say they'll be available for a limited time only, but at the moment it's been like that for months now. What makes the older Portal maps better is that they've been handcrafted and carefully designed for smaller player sizes. Now, I think DICE really are starting to listen to the player base a lot more though. It would have been much better if they'd have done that from the very beginning before the game even launched, but it's nice to see that we are being heard nevertheless. Things do seem to be shifting in the right direction. I think even some of the recent skins have been made to appease our hatred of the cringy specialists. Recently we got a helmet for McKay, and now this week we have the Veiled Threat headgear for Rao. The likeness to the older Battlefield 3 soldiers is uncanny. This is definitely not a coincidence. Basically, we're getting more and more ways to cover up their silly faces, and now we just need to work on getting rid of those cringy voice lines. All in all though, it seems DICE hear us loud and clear at last. They know what we want: smaller player sizes, less of the specialist cringe, better maps, classes, etc. In fact, for ages I've been saying, just make all of the Portal maps, make them part of the All Out Warfare rotation so that we have a little bit more content in the game. Like, for real, if people enjoy playing those maps with Battlefield 2042 weapons and vehicles, why not just add them to the 64 player conquest mode of All Out Warfare and, maybe put in a map voting system? Right now the player base is still very small, and it's kind of being split between All Out Warfare and some of the better Portal modes like Flashback Conquest. In any case, at the moment, Portal is really, my favourite place to be in Battlefield 2042, so I do hope that Ripple Effect Studios continue adding more maps for that, and that we're not just going to get, brand new maps for Season 1, but also some new remakes of some of the best maps that we've ever seen in Battlefield. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. Leave me your thoughts down below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.